But we do have to start with the Stars general manager, Jim Nill, who talked today for about 45 minutes in his season wrap-up press conference about an awful lot that this team needs to do over the course of this offseason. Maybe it's a good thing that they've got a little bit longer of an offseason this year to attack all of these things, because they do have a laundry list of things to address.
Well, I thought it was awesome that he addressed basically every single topic that we had questions about. And some, honestly. And he did so in a way that was as informative as it could be, I thought. Obviously, him talking about just the topics that came to mind freshly off of their postseason exit, the lack of 5-on-5 production, the injuries to some of their key players. I mean, he flat out said, like, look, as far as Mikko Rantanen was concerned, I saw every single day that this wasn't the guy that was playing it 100%. He then ultimately revealed why with the injury that he had suffered. He talked about the fact that losing both Roope Hintz and Tyler Seguin, like he said, those are two of your best 6 players. Without them, like, we are not the team that I basically built. So he touched on every topic that I think we were curious about, that fans were curious about, and he gave as transparent answers as I think we could have asked for.
I was going to say, that's
is
the
Tyler
nice thing.
Seguin a top 6 forward? That feels a little borderline. Certainly
His
Roope
comments,
is.
Jim Nill's comments.
I know. I hear you.
In
but
terms of resume,
and
I think that's part of it,
What he
right?
said,
Sure,
he
but-
said too later on in the press conference that Tyler Seguin was playing his best hockey
He
that
did
he
say
had
that.
seen
Right.
him play in
Yeah.
Dallas. So it's a fair point.
But also part of that is this team is in this weird transition mode where they had Ben and Seguin lead the charge for so long. They finally get reinforcements, but they're on the back 9 of their career. And now you've got this weird, hey, Wyatt, Robo, all of these young guys on the roster that are phenomenal goal scorers and the heart of the offense, really, in some ways. Who takes control of that? That's where this team is. It's always nice to have a mix of veteran and youth presence, but it also kind of feels like there's a divide, not in terms of how they meld, but in terms of the direction of the team.
Well, and he did say, almost unsolicited, he said, I think earlier in the press conference he was asked, hey, is there anything that stood out to you about this season and then specifically this postseason run? And he answered it early on, and then he went through the 300 injuries to the guys that took place over the course of the season. And then unsolicited followed that answer up with, hey, and you asked me, did anything stand out? And he specifically pointed out the fact that these younger guys have finally felt enough, I guess, comfortability within the locker room, within the frame of the organization, to say, hey, no, look, I do feel like I'm at the point, like Wyatt Johnson saying, I do feel like I'm at the point where I could take a little bit more of a leadership role or be a bit more vocal. And it is in that point of, hey, you've asked, if we're going to keep this window open, how do you do that? It's with these younger players taking accountability of the team and stepping up. And I guess through his lens, he feels like those younger guys are finally starting to feel like they can.
Right.
So let's listen to a little bit about what he did have to say today. If we can start with SOT 1.5, this is how he opened the press conference and elaborated on just how difficult this season was.
As we stand here today, the organization and myself were disappointed. We have high expectations here, and we didn't fulfill that. And it's frustrating. And what really makes it frustrating is kind of what we went through this season. It was all my years in hockey, it was probably one of the most demanding seasons, regular seasons I've ever gone through. And that's the whole league. It's not only us, but the whole league, with the scheduling, travel, and for us, really the injuries. And that's what makes it frustrating, because we had a heck of a season. We were 3rd overall in the league, 50 wins, top 10 in all categories other than penalty killing. And to sit here now and see we lost in the first round is disappointing. And, why is that? There's different reasons. First of all, I want to give some credit to Minnesota. They did a good job. I thought Minnesota got to their game quicker and better than we did. And we were behind them the whole way and never caught up. I was worried about, with 3 weeks to go into the season, I was worried where our team was at. I could see that we were lagging a little bit. And, as you start to play it, you're hoping you're going to get it going. And I just felt like, this is just me personally, talking to the players, that we never got it going. And so it's disappointing. And like I said, we'll move on from there, make some adjustments.
So the phrase "make some adjustments" is instructive. We can roll right into SOT 2 here, because this was an offseason that I think many people around the area thought might be, hey, they're going to kind of blow this thing up and start over again. Jim Nill made it clear today that is not going to be the case.
We're a good team. Like, I'm not going to go out and make a bunch of changes. This, I've been through this rodeo before, going back to my years in Detroit and stuff. You go 3 rounds, the next year you lose in the first round and everybody wants to blow it up, and then you go the next year and you go 3rd round and win a cup. So you got to be careful. I get back to, I don't think enough, I don't want to say this the right, enough emphasis is put on the 82-game schedule. It's tough. I don't think there's enough advantage to a team. I don't think Colorado gets enough advantage for winning the President's Trophy. If you win the President's Trophy or win your division, what it is, I don't know what it is. Is it your opportunity to start where you want to start against a team? I don't know what it is, but there's not enough emphasis on how hard the regular season is. It is hard. It's the parity in the league now, the travel within the league. Every night is a battle. You guys are around the game all the time. It's a battle every night. If you're not playing well and your goaltending's not good, you're not winning that night. And it's just getting hard.
Appetite around the league to make it a push for a change in it?
We talked about it. I just don't know what it is. We always have internal discussions. What is it? I don't know what it is. But there's to win the President's Trophy, it's hard to do. To win your division is hard to do. Tell you the truth, make the playoffs is hard to do nowadays. It's tough. And so now I sound like sour grapes. I'm not putting all the emphasis. You still got to win in the playoffs, but you get. So as far as I guess my message is, we're a good team. Is there going to be some changes? Yes, probably. It's going to happen organically. It's going to happen. People pushing for jobs, but this isn't. I'm not blowing this up. We're too good.
So that was a long walk, but eventually he got around to the point of, hey, we're not going to blow this thing up.
Yeah, and I just, as the token fan in the room of the Stars, this team, I'm disappointed that we exited in the first round. He said it too. Everybody's disappointed they exited in the first round. But all season, this group was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I, as a fan, am very, very comforted by the fact that he's not intending to make a ton of moves in the offseason just because they didn't reach the bar that they've reached the last couple of seasons. And that made me feel a lot better about things.
I also think, and again, a lot of this is knee-jerk reaction to an early exit when we all thought this is an experienced team worthy of another deep run. And I've said it ad nauseum now. Like, it's a war of attrition. You never know who's going to literally live in some cases with some of these injuries to see the end of the season as a person on the roster, just based off of how physical and demanding the sport is. With all that being said, I do think there is real value towards staying pat with a roster that has proven itself over this time frame. Again, did they capitalize on when the chances that they had before this? No. They went to 3 straight Western Conference Finals, didn't come home with the cup. But you've seen a litany of examples, specifically in hockey, specifically in other sports, where the core is just 1 year away and they need things to just bounce right. Maybe it's the matchups that they don't get in the playoffs. Maybe it's finally the injury bug not biting them. Anything along those lines. There's a litany of reasons and excuses that any one of these teams can make up. But history is often fawned toward teams willing to run it back one more year. And the knee-jerk, let's blow it up and start a 5-year rebuild process around young talent is not always guaranteed to work either. And that's part of where this team is. It is a team in transition and trying to figure out, do we want to trade away a piece like a Logan Stankoven to get a Mikko Rantanen and try to win this year? Or do we foster the young talent and let them slowly take over the roster moving forward?
You needn't look any farther than the Colorado Avalanche to find a team that bowed out last year in the first round after a difficult playoff series and bounced back to be outstanding this year. And I don't think we knew in October they were going to be as good as they've proven to be. By November we knew. Like, it didn't take them long to prove to everybody, holy smokes, they're unbelievable this year. But we didn't know that in October. We thought they were going to be good. We thought they were again going to be challenging at the top of the Western Conference, but for them to be stratospheric this year was not the expectation, especially after bowing out last year in the first round. But they kept the core together. They built upon it. And now look at them. They are the favorite to win the Cup this year and look really good, at least so far in the playoffs. So it's not that hard to see that Dallas could do something somewhat similar.
But go ahead.
Just another example that comes to mind immediately is an NBA example where you have the Thunder who the Mavs beat in the playoffs the year before the Thunder won their first title, and they kept their core together. They obviously added some fringe pieces, and I think Jim Nill has proven that he has the eye for adding those pieces necessary to a really solid core to be able to overcome and eventually win. I think the frustrating part about this season was it kind of felt like you had those pieces in place last year, especially with bringing in Miko at the trade deadline. You know, you make it to the Western Conference Finals. It kind of felt like last season was, you know, that season where they had been there, they had added the pieces, and not only do you have a really good core, you have those kind of supporting pieces in place to make the run. I think that's what makes this season a little bit harder to swallow, just because if the injury bug didn't bite as hard as it did this season, and I mean this season, like he went through injuries that take place back in October, November. Shoot, go back to Jamie Benn and his lung collapsing during the preseason.
Exactly, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Right, and he touched on, you know, some of these injuries that were suffered this season were freak accidents, like Roddick Fox's injury that they thought could have been season ending. I mean, it was much more serious than we were led to believe.
Yeah,
It
he
was
said he
one.
lacerated his foot, got stepped on in the corner, and even hinted a little bit in the direction of like career threatening.
Yeah.
Right.
And then this dude was back
and
on
he's
the ice
playing
later
through
this
that,
season.
you
Yeah.
know?
Just another concept that hockey players have a different
Level of
idea of toughness.
And all we've been hearing about Mikko Rantanen is it's a lower body injury, but he's fine. It's a lower body injury, but he's fine. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, it's an MCL tear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, there are stories of guys breaking legs in game 1, getting a rod inserted, and being back by game 6. Like, hockey players just have a different definition of what toughness defines.